Good.
Thank you. All righty, can we start the meeting? We'll call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock and welcome everyone. It is so good that we can get together and thank you all for being here. Is there any changes to the agenda or additions? And if not, can we have someone move and second that the agenda be approved? Would someone like to move the agenda?
I'll move.
Oh,
Gord Rollo moves.
okay. Thank you, Gord. And second?
Justin Corner will second.
I will. Representative.
Okay, I think Justin got in there just a touch ahead of you. Reg, everyone in favor?
Aye.
So carried. All right, any disclosure of
Aye.
interest? All right, any disclosure of interest in general nature thereof? Basically, any conflicts? Seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of minutes. Now, 4.1, 2 and 3, community policing minutes of March 11th and May 13th and November the 8th. We had meeting notes in the past two. Aaron, do we need to approve the notes?
Madam Chair, we can just receive those as information, but we can approve the March 11th, 2021, because we had quorum at that meeting.
All righty. Would someone like to move that the March 11th, 2021 meeting minutes be approved?
I'll move it. It's Marnie Clucky.
I will.
Thank you, Marnie. And second, was that Reg?
Yep.
All
I
right.
don't see
great.
my initials on the bottom here.
All righty. All in favor? Great. So moved. All right. And the 4.2 and 4.3 will be received as information.
Do we have a mover and seconder, Madam Chair, for that?
All right. Would
I'll
someone like
move
to-
that, Jean. It's Rita, and I'd like to make a comment if I may when we're done.
Sure. All right. Rita will move. Can we have a seconder?
I'll second.
Okay. Aaron, have you got that?
Sorry, who is the seconder? I just
Gord Rollo.
thank you,
Thanks,
Gord.
Gord.
Okay.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And carried. All right, Rita, do you had a comment?
So as you can notice, I've missed a number of meetings, and I certainly want to apologize to the group. I volunteered for this organization, this committee, to give it 100%. Unfortunately, with the number of days in a month, you seem to pick the days I have meetings. So it has been very unfortunate. I hope moving forward, I know we can't, align these meetings to everyone's schedules, but Mondays and Thursdays are extremely difficult for me. But I will do my best going forward. But the minutes definitely reflect I haven't been a very good participant up to now. So I do apologize to the group.
No worries, Rita. Others have been in the same situation, not a problem. And that's why I sent out that email asking everyone what their availability was. And this time seemed to be a common time for most people. So hopefully it will be and we can carry on. So no worries, but thank you for mentioning that. And of course, we're looking forward to great things happening in the future. Thank you, Rita. All right, we haven't done attendance at the beginning because I hope we can do a roundtable near the end. But number 5, we have presentation.
Madam Chair, there's no presentations.
All righty. Okay.
Sorry, Madam Chair, I see Reg. I see your hand is up. Do you have a question or comment?
Oh, sorry, too late.
No
Just getting used
problem.
to this business.
Okay. Seeing no presentation. Number 6, deputation.
Madam Chair, there's no deputations.
All right. And number 7, consent agenda.
There's no consent, Madam Chair.
All right, we'll move on to reports deferred from previous meeting.
And there's no reports.
We're sailing right through here. So number 9, items for consideration. And this is what I was hoping to get to in person, but we can do it now for sure. Our committee member induction. We've never met in person. We haven't had an opportunity to really chat with each other than community policing business. So we'd like to have basically a round table and have everybody introduce themselves, tell us what ward you're from and a little bit about your interest in community policing, and tell us a little bit about yourself also. So that would be wonderful if we could get to know people. So if everybody's good with that, we can start with that. So,
Madam Chair, would you be okay if I just called on people who are comfortable? I have a list of who's in the meeting.
oh, of course, of course. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Andy Fox, would you like to introduce yourself?
Certainly. Thanks, Aaron. And thanks, Jean, for having me. This is the first community policing meeting that I've been attending as Staff Sergeant Christina Klingbeil. I don't know if everybody's aware, but she's on a leave of absence right now from the OPP. So I'm filling in for her. My normal duties is one of the road sergeants in Norfolk County, and I've been doing that in Norfolk since 2014, October roughly, and might be looking for a promotion in the near future. So I decided I'd fill in for her and see if I can. Pretty big shoes to fill, but I'm giving it a shot anyways.
Great. Thank you so much for being here. I know you were busy and you didn't know for sure if you could make the meeting, and we really appreciate that. Thank you, Andy.
Absolutely, for sure.
Rita?
Thank you, Aaron. So my name is Rita Culver. I have been born and raised in Norfolk County. I've lived here most of my life. We live on a small cash crop farm in Norfolk for the last 30 some years, as I have moved around the county. I joined community policing because I certainly believe Norfolk County is a great county to have raised my children. Many things happening within the community, but I feel that we need to ensure everyone has the same experience as I do and as my family has. So that is why I'm here, to ensure everyone is able to participate in the life that Norfolk County does offer to our residents. And so that's why I'm here. I am also a trustee with the Grand Erie District School Board. I've been a trustee for, gee whiz, 17 years. Enjoy every minute of it, supporting our families and our students so they can have a good start in their education pathways. And I hope you will indulge me for a minute. I'd like to recognize Sergeant Fox. Policing is very much in the news these days, and I commend the force for the ongoing service into Norfolk County under the current climate. It's been managed well. And of course, I've never been prouder to be an Ontarian and living in Ontario as I observed what went on in Ottawa this past weekend. Every person that wears that uniform should be very, very, very proud of themselves, because I certainly am. So thank you.
Thank you very much
Thank
for those
you.
kind words.
Thank you, Rita. I'm sure we all reiterate your comments and your thoughts for sure. And I can't believe it's been 17 years since you first started out as trustee. But thank you for all you bring to the committee.
It seems like yesterday, Jean.
Thank you, Rita.
Dan?
Well, I'm Dan Avey. I'm with, I guess, Ward 7, I guess it is. I live in Waterford. I've worked as youth center director in Simcoe for almost 20 years. So I've had a lot of interaction with young people and a lot of the young adults that we have in our society now. And I have a young family. I have a 4- and a 6-year-old, and my involvement with community policing is to see I would love to see Norfolk turn some corners in that regards and make it a stronger community, and I wanted to be involved.
Thanks, Dan. We've known each other for a long time too. That's great. Thank you for all you bring.
Gord Rollo.
I'm Gord Rollo. I'm originally from Hamilton, retired steel worker. Went back to school a few years ago. I now work at Holmes House here in town. I live around the corner from Sobeys, probably a landmark most of you know. I'm on a couple of committees in Norfolk, and I have loved my stay here in Norfolk. I've been here for over 30 years now. I don't see myself ever going back to Hamilton.
Thank you, Gord. And Gord has contributed so much to our community in many, many ways. Lions Club, Shriners Club, and many more. So thank you, Gord, for all you do.
JC.
Hi, Justin Corner, forward 3 for Delhi. I guess my interest is just being more involved in the community. A lot of community members sort of saying that they don't have a voice or that they're not being represented from the Facebook feeds. So try to get a lot of information there and hopefully bring it to the council so we can do some good work. I'm also a funeral director at Murphy's as well as a member of the Knights Columbus. I am active with the Canadian Psychedelic Association and a pro-cannabis advocate. So I'd like to see a little bit of that, probably in the future, more responsible education towards what Norfolk County is, going towards as our, Norfolk's garden or the Ontario's garden. So if we're growing everything, we should be doing it responsibly, and that goes for home use and commercial use as well. So that's where my points of interest and activism are. And yeah, great to be here and helping out.
Thank you so much, Justin. Great to hear from you. And it's great to have diverse perspectives, and we certainly appreciate that. And thanks for all you contribute to the community. Great.
Madam Chair, would you be open to introducing yourself now?
Sure. I'm Jean Montgomery, lived in Norfolk for quite a long time. Waterford, we moved from London, and I was on the community policing there way back, and did a lot of great things then. We're very active, and I guess I'm active in a lot of community initiatives right now in the homelessness initiative and warming centers. So good things happening, and I just cannot get over how Norfolk County always, the volunteers rise to the challenge to get things done, working together. So that's what I'm really looking forward to on the policing committee, that we can all represent our areas, bring forth issues that need to be addressed, and come to a solution at the end of the day. So glad everybody is here.
Thank you, Madam Chair, especially for your volunteering to be the chair of this committee. It's a lot of work, but we appreciate your civic engagement. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Jim Miller.
Through the chair, it's actually Marnie Clucky. I had to log on to my husband's computer today. So thank you. I am in Ward 6, Port Dover, and I'm a Haldeman, Norfolk girl, first raised in Caledonia and then moving to Port Dover. So I'm raising my kids here. So community policing is important because having a safe community is very important to me and to others. So that is why I'm participating. I work in another municipality and have worked in municipalities for most of my career now. So I'm in Niagara-on-the-Lake. So it's important to me to also participate here in Norfolk County. In my other volunteer efforts, I'm a mediator for community justice initiatives. So this is a nice tie-in for me, and I'm looking forward to being a part of this committee. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Marnie. I thought when Aaron said your husband's name, oh, we have a new member. So I'm glad that it's you. And thank you you'll bring a different perspective again, and from out of our area too. Thank you so much for being here.
Josh Lightheart.
Hey guys, I'm Josh. I've lived in Ward 4, Victoria area for about 16 years now. Previously grew up in Niagara Falls. I've been a volunteer firefighter for the past 13 years in Norfolk County as well. So I've had the opportunity to work closely with a lot of our Norfolk OPP. Previously, I worked for the Autism Behavior Sciences program at Lansdowne in Brantford. Recently, I've moved over to Scotland Commodities, doing the safety and compliance with the transportation division. I'm an active member of the Kayak Anglers of Norfolk County. Previously used to do the car seat clinics through the fire department as well as through Brantford. And yeah, I'm excited to be a part of the committee. I had the chance to do this with Ed for the course that he put on a few years back. So my kids are both as well in that 13, 11-year-old range. So anything that we can do to make our community safer is great.
Thank you so much, Josh. And I know you've been eager to have our meetings and get going on this, and we certainly appreciate it. And thank you for your contribution to the firefighting in Norfolk. Very much needed, for sure. Thank you.
Reg?
Okay, I'm Reg Vandenberg. I pretty well was raised up in this county for most of my life. I'm a far distant neighbor of Rita, and I just like to say I'm a former steel worker, truck driver, and now I'm retired. And I just thought I'd like to give some help to the committee with some input. I got over 20 years labor law experience, and I also want to give credit to Rita Culver for working with the school board. I'm sure it's got to be not pleasant. Anyways, that's it.
Thank you, Reg. Really glad to have you here. I know you've been eager also to get us going, and we look forward to your experience and what you can contribute to the meetings. Thank you.
I'm impressed with everybody's credentials too. Blows mine all the hell.
Oh no, we all bring different attributes, and I think that's just so great that we have a diverse committee.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to bode well for.
It's well balanced out.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Aaron Plant, and I serve as the committee coordinator with the Office of the County Clerk here at Norfolk County. And part of my responsibilities include serving as the board secretary for the Police Services Board. And as part of that function, I have the privilege of serving as the clerk for the Community Policing Committee. And then today we have Teresa Olson with us, who's our county clerk.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to join today. It's the first time that I've had an opportunity to sit with this committee, and just wanted to kind of get my feet wet and understand what the committee is working on, and help to build some engagement with this community advisory group and how we can go forward on a positive measure.
Great, thank you so much. You're not taking Aaron's place, are you? No.
Absolutely not. Aaron is irreplaceable. So he will be the face and the positivity of this committee.
All right, great. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Mr. Chairman, George Santos, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. And first and foremost, to Chair Montgomery, thank you very much for hosting the community policing in Norfolk County. And to all the members, I'm very hopeful by listening to all the words and having everyone well represented. My role, of course, as you're aware, I'm chair of the Police Services Board here in Norfolk County. We're under Section 10 policing. I'm one of 5 members. The other member that we have is, of course, as you're aware, Mayor Chop, who represents, of course, Norfolk County as the worship. And we also have our Vice Chair, Kim Huffman, who's a councillor out of Waterford. And we have a provincial appointee. I understand his name is Willie Van Houten. He represents and was appointed by the province, and he lives out in La Salette. Our new member, Michael Cruz, I believe he's from Port Dover, and he has been brought on to represent Norfolk County as a whole on the board. And of course, I myself am a provincial appointee, and my mandate started in 2019 and will end in October of this year. So my role basically is to chair the meeting. And as everyone is aware, there's been numerous issues in Norfolk County, but of course with COVID-19, we've been plagued with numerous issues. So we've been doing a lot of Zoom and very minimal in person. So I haven't had an opportunity to meet the chair, the vice chair, or the members on this board. I was involved in choosing the membership that we see here. So I was a part of that with our previous chair, Travale. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you all for being part of community policing. It's crucial. I've been involved since the age of 16 with respect to with the old Haldimand Norfolk Regional Police. I chaired numerous committees, and also when everything changed back in 1999, and of course we separated from Haldimand, or we divorced from Haldimand, and we became the Norfolk. It was at that time in '99, it was the Haldimand Norfolk OPP, and then that with time changed to the Norfolk OPP and Haldimand OPP. So I was the chair or the president of the community policing for, I believe, about 6 years. So I know exactly what takes place and what's involved. So it's not easy. It's just a matter of getting everybody together either once a month or once every 3 months. So I'll just stop there. If you have any questions, I'm more than willing to answer them. But thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, George, for being here. Aaron and I both had suggested that it would be great to have you here, especially this meeting, so that we can have some dialogue together. And you've been through it all, every kind of policing format there is, and we have had lots in Haldimand, Norfolk for sure. So we thank you for your contribution to and your steadfastness. Wow, that's you've a lot of experience, so we appreciate that. So I don't know if we want to have questions right now, or Aaron, we're looking at the.
Madam Chair, can we just first receive and file the discussion, and then we can move on to our discussion of the bylaw.
Okay. Do we need? Does anyone have any questions of George right now, or we'll table that for the bylaw? Okay. All right. Would someone like to move that we?
Receive and file the introductions.
Okay. Who would like to do that?
I can move it.
I'll second.
I'm not sure who said they would move it.
Oh, Josh?
Josh and Dan?
Yeah.
All right, and Marnie, we'll get you next time. You had your hand up. Are we all in favor? Any discussion? We're all good? All right, all in favor, and that is carried. All right, and we'll move on. Aaron, could you?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to the committee. I thought it'd be a good opportunity just to discuss the terms of reference for this committee. As you can see on the agenda, bylaw 2020-03 is a Norfolk County bylaw, which is really the establishing bylaw for this committee. And it also outlines the terms of reference, which is the mandate from council and from the Police Services Board for what the function of this committee is. And it's often a good opportunity at the beginning of the year to spend some time together to discuss what the role and function of the board committee is. And also we have Chair Santos, who brings some institutional knowledge as a member of the Police Services Board when this committee was established. And also realizing that with the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and personnel change, this committee has had a bit of a struggle getting off the start, but it's very clear that the members are very engaged and very committed to the work that we're doing. So that's really wonderful to see. And I won't go very in depth into the terms of reference because it's in your agenda for your further reflection. But really, I think what's most important here is the mission and the mandate of this committee. And according to the terms of reference, the mission and the mandate of the Community Policing Committee is to facilitate and maintain partnerships between the Ontario provincial police, the police services board, community groups and businesses, and the citizens of Norfolk County. It also serves to work together with these partners in identifying, prioritizing, and problem-solving local policing issues. And it serves to provide input and advice to the Norfolk County Police Services Board on matters related to community policing and to undertake projects as assigned. So we really value all your time and your commitment to serving Norfolk County. And that is really my introduction to the bylaw. I'm happy to answer any questions or have further discussion. And perhaps Madam Chair or Chair Santos, you might be able to provide a bit more context to the history and function of this board, this committee.
I would like George, if possible, to give a little bit of history, and then maybe we can have some discussion and questions. It's a pretty broad mandate, and I think we need to decide what we would like to focus on. George, would you?
So if I may, thank you, Madam Chair. If I may, really, it's a vital component. The Police Services Board, of course, under Section 10, our role basically is, and we're very limited. This isn't a role where we are involved, and I speak with regards to the Police Services Board. Our role isn't to hire or fire or do anything in reference to the OPP. What it comes down to is under Section 10 policing is we look at the stats, we converse with the police chief, and it's our role from a public appointee standpoint is under Section 10. Under Section 10 policing, our role is either to hire the new police chief and to become heavily involved in what's happening in the community. So with community policing over the last several years, it's been on and off. And now that we have, let's put it this way, some stability and there's some bylaws, so there's some footings and a foundation here. And with that, it all comes down to the chair and the vice chair, and there's protocol. Beforehand, we were having meetings and what I understood was there was much inconsistency. So with this, Chair Montgomery, with these footings and the foundation here, so to speak, it's a matter now of allowing us from the Police Services Board to have a perspective of what's happening in the community. So this vital component of the ears and eyes of the community and advising us what needs to take place, and having the police involved is crucial to a number of issues. So for me to kind of give a clear understanding of what's happened since '99, I can't, other than the fact that we would meet and that information would go to the Police Services Board, and whatever took place from there, we didn't know. This is more with these bylaws, it's more to get together in person and have a clear understanding. And I understand that these bylaws have just come into being. So with that, that's my clear understanding. So I can honestly say in reading from the newspaper, Chair Montgomery, that it was very difficult to get started and to keep consistent. Now, by looking at what I see here, we have great representation from all the wards here in Norfolk County. So that's pretty well all I have. I don't have all the specifics with regards to the bylaw. I was just going to listen and make notes and go back to the Police Services Board. So that was my role.
That's great, George. Really,
and if there's any questions, I can answer it.
We really appreciate that, and that's what I wanted to elicit, any questions that we might have. It's really difficult because we haven't had a clear understanding of what our role is and how we can contribute. So I think it's paramount that we establish what the role of this committee is, and we as members, how we can accomplish that. And the focus is, are we the eyes and ears, or do we have a more focused approach that we would get into activities like some of the committees did before, lock it and lose it, and, you know, bike rodeos and that type of thing. So I think tonight we need to establish the parameters, and having a bit of history. Some of us have been on community policing before, and also we are one group now. We do represent our own communities, but how would that bode if there's a problem in Simcoe? Is everybody going to get on board, and if it was an activity? So I would just really, I see that Reg had his hand up. I don't know if people have questions of George, so we can really nail down what the role of the committee is and what the expectations of us as members would be. All right, Reg?
Yeah, Gene, can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I concur with your assessment that we are the eyes and ears of the county, and we all have to work together, and then, you know, work together towards the police services board, so we could get some in conjunction, so we're on the same parallel with them, and give advice to them, because I know the police can't be everywhere at the same time. We primarily are the eyes and ears, and we have to work together in conjunction to make it a smooth, fluid running operation. That's it.
Great, thank you, Reg.
And,
Could we have some
and
more?
Madam Chair, if I could just add to that, that basically is well said. And this isn't about Port Dover. This isn't about Port Rowan. This is about Norfolk County. And I mean, if we look at this issue of policing, the issues that happen in Simcoe also can and could happen in Waterford. So, and do happen, just it could be on a different level. And I think it's important with what Reg has just finished saying is definitely communication and opening up the lines of communication. For sure.
For sure. Great, thank you. Was there someone else that had their hand up, Aaron?
Madam Chair, I see the county clerk has her hand up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you through the chair. I just wanted to mention that I think it's a great idea if the committee goes through the terms of reference. It's an opportunity for the committee to determine if what was originally established is the purpose. What I do want to clarify, though, is that Norfolk County Council actually establishes the terms of reference. So what we would have to do is determine what the board would suggest would be appropriate terms of reference. We would have to take that back and have County Council approve those terms of reference. So I kind of see it as a two-pronged process. Perhaps the committee comes up with how they'd like to see the terms of reference amended. We could take it to the Police Services Board to make sure the Police Services Board is in agreement, and then we would present it to County Council to amend the terms of reference as required for this committee.
The original terms of reference, were they sent out, Aaron?
Yes, Madam Chair, they formed part of the agenda.
Right.
Madam Chair, I see Rita's hand up, and I just want to announce that Michelle was able to join us. I think there were some IT troubles there briefly, so.
All righty. Rita?
So yes, I am struggling to understand exactly the mandate of this committee, and not to put Mr. Santos on the spot, but I'm certainly going to direct my question to him, and since he has such extensive experience on the Police Service Board and also community policing. So when I read my mandate, George, so the first one, 2.5, said I'm supposed to facilitate and maintain partnerships between the Ontario Provincial Police and the Police Service Board. The second bullet is, so then I'm supposed to work together with these partners to identify, prioritizing, and problem solving on local policing issues. So how does that partnership work, George? If I don't hear from the Police Service Board on identifying and prioritizing and problem solving. And if I don't hear from the Ontario Provincial Police on identifying, prioritizing, and problem solving. So am I misinterpreting that mandate?
So if I may, Madam Chair, to Mrs. Culver, I mean, that's a great question. And just so that you're aware, the Norfolk Police Services Board also in the last 2.5 years, believe it or not, has had to change the bylaws. We've had to kind of regroup and have a clear understanding of what our role is under Section 10 policing. It's very different from municipal policing. Now, my understanding and my experience is people are, the police are people. So we have to work in conjunction. So here what we need is lines of communication. And to be very honest with you, there really hasn't been great lines of communication with the community policing organization. But what we've had is great communication with the OPP. And of course, there's various issues that have come up pretty well each month or every 2 months with reference to if it's not cannabis and the loopholes or traffic concerns with speeding. I mean, the OPP are very well informed and are aware of what's happening, but the complaints usually will come in to the Police Services Board or to the Norfolk OPP, whereas the community policing over the last several years, it's here and it's not, and there hasn't been really much consistency. And I think a lot of that comes from the leadership from the Police Services Board. And so if I can answer by just saying the information needs to be opened up from the Norfolk Police Services Board to the community policing and community policing to Norfolk Police Services Board. The OPP, of course, and what's been the hardest part is this pandemic. We haven't been able to meet in person. So I haven't met Jean Montgomery. I haven't met yourself. The names are very familiar in the community and everyone else that's around Zoom. And same thing with the OPP. We've all been limited in communicating. Now, have the minutes been sent out? Has the Norfolk Police Services Board connected? No, we haven't. And unfortunately, things will only get better, and we're learning from that process. Now, we ourselves are going through new bylaws, and the county clerk, Mrs. Olson, is well aware that those bylaws haven't even been passed. We have bylaws that refer back to 2003, but we've had to adjust them to bring us up of change, and it's a matter now of just getting together and making things happen. So I can feel the frustration and I can sense what you're saying, but I don't have all the answers, if that makes sense, Rita.
Well, you did a great job there, George, and I want to thank you. If I may continue, Jean?
Yes, for sure.
Sorry, Madam Chair, if I could just interlude, for the members, the clerk's office recently adopted a brand new agenda management software called eScribe, and I'd be happy to circulate where you can see the Police Services Board agendas and minutes for your interest as well. And going forward, we can also include that in your agenda for review, but they can also be viewed at your own time, which I'll circulate after the meeting.
That would be great. Thank you, Aaron. Yes,
so that's a good first step, Aaron, but I do feel they should be included in our package going forward. And it's certainly excellent that George is here, and certainly a representative of the OPP is here. So when do we have that dialogue of what are the priorities that you've identified, what's the issues in our communities, and how can we serve and support the Police Service Board and the OPP in our communities to make them the places we want them to be?
So if I may, Madam Chair, to Mrs. Culver, I mean, just by meeting and having this meeting and making clear what the issues in Ward 6 are, or Ward 5, or Ward 3, and bringing those minutes to the Police Services Board, and in turn, the OPP, and of course, having, I believe the Staff Sergeant Fox, I mean, he's a key link with the OPP, and I know there has been some changes and continues to be changes, and there always will be changes within the force itself or with the Police Services Board. But I think more importantly, now that we have these bylaws and there's going to be some consistency, it's the lines of communication. So Rita, to basically answer that, it's a matter of connecting with the minutes and the agendas and being aware of what's happening. And I could even make it clear that as the chair of the Police Services Board can have your chair, which is Chair Montgomery, attend and give us a clear understanding of what is happening in the wards and what's taking place with community policing, so that we have a better understanding instead of just looking at numbers and stats that are given to us on a monthly basis, that we can actually hear from the members that are around. So from Reg or Michelle or Mrs. Miller, I mean, at the end of the day, or yourself, Rita, it's about not a month from now or 6 months ago. It's what's been happening in the last few weeks. Is it traffic concerns? Is it lack of community policing officers on the beat in Waterford? Less foot patrols? This is the information that we need to hear. And so that everyone is aware, having the mayor on the board and the councillor, so I'm speaking of course, Mayor Chop and Councillor Huffman, I mean, they're well aware of what's happening, but are they? If we don't hear from the community, then how do we know? So I think it's very clear that this is important, a vital component of making policing much more effective and efficient. And I think with the OPP, they're well aware of what's happening, but not always around. I mean, they are around, but they're not, you know, does everyone understand where I'm coming from?
Yes, for sure.
We're very well, just so that everybody's aware, we are very well policed in Norfolk County. We have many resources, and we have the best policing that we can have. We have the second largest police force in Canada. Of course, everyone is aware that the first is the RCMP and the second is the Ontario Provincial Police. So, I mean, Norfolk County is a big county, and it's after very well, and the OPP have many resources available after sorry, I don't know if I'm having technical difficulty. I don't know if you can hear me. So, but anyways, I'll put this back to Chair Montgomery. Rita, hopefully that ain't a little bit of what happens, but I think communication is vital.
Thank you very much, George. And it is, communication is vital, and that's what's going to make this committee work. And you make a very valid point that we need to be in communication, and for our the intentions of this committee and what's happening in different wards needs to come to the Police Services Board. So I hope we can facilitate that. That would be wonderful. Thank you for those comments, for sure. And Aaron, could you please, I'm not sure the order of the hands raised. Could you please take care of that for me? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I see the county clerk's hand and then Reg's hand.
Thanks, Aaron. I just wanted to, hopefully I can provide some clarity. So an advisory committee, which is what the Community Policing Committee is a board that advises. So you're not a decision-making board, you're an advisory board. So the best way to make your, I guess, advice known is through recommendations of the Community Policing Board. So at the meeting, you would discuss different matters. You would make a recommendation to the Police Services Board to say, you know what, we found that this is going on in Waterford, and we feel the Police Services Board should, look at better traffic measures here, or look at this safety aspect. And maybe there's a recommendation for the OPP. At the Police Services Board, when they get your minutes and they see those recommendations, if they choose to pull them and discuss them and say, we're going to forward this on to the OPP for consideration, the OPP may or may not take that, or forward it on to Norfolk County Council for council to make a decision of something they can do that's within their their purview. What I also want to indicate is, because this board is in all essence established by Norfolk County Council, the board is bound by the county's procedure bylaw. So the procedure bylaw minutes state that all minutes will be taken without note or comment. So these discussions at the board are great. They're videotaped. You will always be able to go back and see what the discussions are. But all that's going to be captured in the minutes are the recommendations that you make. So you want to make sure the recommendations you put forward are very clear and detailed in what your ask is, so that if you're not there to speak to it, that the Police Services Board or County Council or the OPP knows exactly what you want. So, you know, Erin's here to help you through that process, but just be mindful that you really want to keep whatever you guys want to put it in a recommendation, put that recommendation forward, approve it as the board. That goes on to the next level.
Thank you, Teresa. That's really good to know that moving forward, what we need to do to be heard. And I think it's what is difficult for some who have been on the community policing in the past. It was very much an action-oriented committee, and it was very focused to a specific ward. And there wasn't really collaboration together with the other wards. And the advisory part is very, very important that we have to understand. However, the wording said solution, offer solutions, and that gets into operation. So it's very tedious, the wording and what.
And through the chair, if I may, I'm sure, as you appreciate, the clerk's department at Norfolk County Council, Norfolk County has gone through a complete changeover. And so the staff that were involved when this committee was established in 2020 are not the same staff at the table. So we're trying to feel our way through what was established and what was supposed to go forward. And again, we've reviewed the terms of reference. You know, it seems more comprehensive than an advisory committee normally is. So we need to work through what that looks like, and we're happy to do that with you, but it's a learning experience a bit for us as well. We need to pull out to find if there was budget, what that budget was, what those projects should look like. And over the coming months, we're hopeful that we can build that with you. But we're absolutely at the table, but we're all learning this together. So I think the best part is to go through the terms of reference, say, does that make sense? Should we alter this a little bit? Can we tweak this? Just like you're saying, this doesn't make sense to me. Can we clear it up better? Then we can take a really good document to the PSB to say, okay, now that we have all the right people at the table again, and we're hopefully all going to be here for a few years to come, let's get this approved by PSB. Let's get it approved by County Council. And then Erin can work with the committee to actually make some impactful decisions going forward.
I think that's a great way to get things going. May I suggest, though, that if people are interested, that we strike a subcommittee to go through the terms of reference. It's very hard to do it with 8 or more people, and people could bring it back to the committee for approval. But what we would need would be input from everyone, even possibly tonight, to see what should those terms of reference include. What do you think the role of this committee is?
Madam Chair, I see Reg's hand.
Reg?
Thank you. Well, my opinion, no, I lost my train of thought here. It's just, yeah, I agree with most of the comments going on. We all have to work together, but we keep saying it all the time. And as far as I'm concerned, council's in chaos, and it's part of a broken wheel right now. Like 2 out of 3 agreements, sometimes the third part's not missing. And as soon as the sooner we get things together, get our act together, not just us, but a lot of other people, we can do a lot more. I know this COVID hasn't helped any, but I see there's a lot of chaos there, and like in the leadership of the council and everything like that. There's too much infighting going on. It always has been, but we've always had basically the same bylaws, and they always have to be modified, no doubt. But the thing is, but the transition, like the movement of stuff, still has to keep going through up from one level to the next without interruption. But I find we start getting interruptions, we don't know what we're gonna do. And we're on the bottom end of the totem pole. And, we're the last ones affected. So anyways, that's all I gotta say.
Well, we have to keep positive, and we've got a good start tonight, and that we are going to make some suggestions and improvements. And I see Aaron has his hand up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, as this discussion has been very fulsome and lots of good points, I was thinking perhaps it'd be a good opportunity just to go over what some matters we'd like to see on the next agenda for our meeting. Of course, you're always welcome to email me or the chair what you'd like to see on the agenda. Was there any particular items of concern you'd like to ensure that we have on the next agenda for a more fulsome discussion? Perhaps we can do a roundtable about what members would like to see on the agenda at sort of a high level. Perhaps a specific speeding issue or a local issue you'd like to see on the agenda.
Oh, that would be great, Aaron. But maybe before we do that, we could have Michelle introduce herself and any. I mean, she's had a lot of experience on the committee and give us a little insight, if that's okay.
Absolutely, Madam Chair.
Thanks, Jane. So I just wanted to introduce myself. I've been on the committee for about 20 years, I would say. And in the past, just to give a broad overview of what we've done is in all of the different areas, geographical areas across the county, there's been policing committees or a group of volunteers that have looked at where the concerns are, the safety concerns are in the community. And every time we would meet as a group and we would get the statistics from the OPP, there would be information as to what types of crime, what types of safety risks are elevated in each of the communities. So of course, that would go back to the different areas, and then those groups of volunteers would look at what types of safety programs could we do as a volunteer committee. So that's where it was for the past 20 years. Mm-hmm. And then we would meet quarterly throughout the year on this committee at this level, and we would talk about the report on the individual committee or projects that we've been working on in our areas, because we would learn from each other. For example, if there's a huge significant increase in or a significant increase in car thefts in Waterford, maybe Waterford area would be working on lock it or lose it projects, that type of thing. And then maybe that might change. It might be an issue in Langton in the following year. So sharing the information on the types of programs that we would do in the community is what we would do at the committee. Now, one of the things on the standing agenda every month when we met was Project Lifesaver. So that's a program that I started about, I think it was about 14 years ago. And we've had many, and I think it's getting up to around 80 clients that we've had in Norfolk County that have been on Project Lifesaver. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but Project Lifesaver is a safety, community safety net for anyone living in the community, whether they're living in their home, in an apartment, in a retirement, in long-term care even, and in a retirement home. It's for anyone that may wander off and be at risk for hypothermia, getting lost, anyone that's confused that wouldn't find their way back, particularly for residents that have Alzheimer's. And we also have had a couple of clients that were very, very young, 4, 5, 6 years old, that had Down syndrome. And I've also had a couple of men on the program, and I would say even, mid-50s type thing, that would have had an accident, car accident, or something where they've had a brain injury. And all of those people were at risk because they wandered off. So Project Lifesaver is a program with the OPP, and it tracks the bracelet that the person is wearing, and the OPP are able to find them safely. Find them within half an hour approximately. So that's the program that's running really strong right now through this committee. and I'm reporting at this meeting just on what's happening. And the only other thing I can think of to let you know right now is that recently, in the last couple of months, we've had a couple more clients enroll in the program, and I'm trying to assist Haldimand in getting the program up and running there. It's something that we tried to do 12 years ago or so, is make it a Haldimand Norfolk project Lifesaver, but that didn't work out. So there is a Haldimand committee that's trying to start up, and I'm trying to provide some support to them.
That's great. Thank you very much, Michelle, for that history. That's very good to know what has happened and what's ongoing. So, Aaron, you're suggesting that we ask right now what people would want to see on our next agenda. I just wonder, are there any more questions of George or comments? People still confused? Rita has to stand up. Thank you. Rita?
Well, I'd certainly like to listen to some of the other members' thoughts and concerns, and I don't want to see like I'm monopolizing the conversation here. But I have thought long and hard about what we do here. George has been very helpful, and as well as Teresa, on just reminding us all that we are advisory. I think we're all quite aware of that, and how to move things forward by making recommendations to the Police Service Board. I do like your idea, Jean, of sitting down and looking at the terms of reference as a subgroup. Mm-hmm. To make it a little clearer of just what our mandate is, because, you know, right now I don't think anyone can really wholesomely answer the question about the mandate, about how we're supposed to partner with the Police Service Board, the OPP, and that sharing of information. So I certainly have crafted a recommendation, as Teresa recommended, that what we do, so that we're, you know, the thoughts are captured of what this committee is thinking about doing. But I certainly like to hear other people's thoughts on what did they think we discussed at this policing committee? Well, what actions would we actually be taking, and based on what information? I'm afraid I may be naive, but I'm not too sure my community knows that we exist. As George says, they're going to call the OPP or they're going to call the Police Service Board. They're not going to call community policing. So we need to be more proactive rather than reactive. So we need to know the concerns in Norfolk County. We're all sitting here as Norfolk County residents. Irregardless, or not irregardless, educators hate it when you say irregardless, regardless of where we live. So, you know, I really like to hear what others think, like, why are they here? What do they want to hear discussed here? What actions do they want to see us, you know, advise Police Service Board to look at? Maybe we need a better understanding of just what the Police Service Board role is. I do agree with Michelle. It was nice to get the OPP stats, so you kind of had a feel of what's going on in Norfolk County. You know, like I said earlier, the climate right now in Ontario isn't the greatest. I live right on number 3 highway. I see convoys every Saturday. I know our police are working very hard to minimize any disruption to the citizens of Norfolk. And again, I want to thank Sergeant Fox and his team for serving the community so well and handling that. But is that an issue in all our communities? Has anyone else felt the disruption as the horns go by and the traffic is slowed down here in front of my own home? So,
Rita, I think you make a very good point that we are supposed to be the eyes and the ears of our communities, but do people know that we are that representative? And Monty did a little piece in the paper there, which we were kind of taken by surprise. But perhaps when we are a bit more succinct and know what our role is, perhaps we could ask him to do a follow-up that this is what the Police Services Board, or I mean the community policing is, their role, and here are the members that we could be a representative in our community. So I think that would be great. All right, Justin. Okay, Justin, and then George.
Okay. In regards to some of the community members, trying to reach out to you, I've had a fair amount of success with the social media forums, actually getting involved in, for example, the Delhi community page, which has over, several thousand members, and they'll post on there what their concerns are. I'll ask questions directly to group members since I have moderator control over that as well. And that seems to be pretty successful, but it's the same thing. I mean, people just are really asking for focused patrols, street concerns more than that. And again, like Mr. Santos had pointed out, the drugs right now and the cannabis, but that which is a lot worse in the community. So we're sort of looking at those concerns more than anything else. I think are some of the recommendations from Delhi, but to be actively engaged, I think go on your social media forums and see what the community is saying, because they really will say it and very clearly.
Yes, for sure. Thank you, Justin. Thank you. George?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just so that everyone understands, what I've learned in the last 2.5 years being part of the Police Services Board is I myself did not know what Section 10 policing meant. So even though I was involved with community policing since 1999, up until I believe 2006, 2007, I didn't know what Section 10 policing was. And the last 2.5 years, I've learned that with Section 10 policing, we're very limited. We cannot tell the OPP or the police what to do. We can ask. So there's a big difference here. Also, with Section 10 policing, it comes down to the board. What we do is we're informed by the OPP of the stats. We have a clear understanding of what's taking place in Waterford, what's taking place in Port Dover with Friday the 13th. We also are aware that there's a problem with speeding and impaired driving in Norfolk County. And these issues are similar month to month, each and every 2 months bi-monthly, when we meet, these issues keep cropping up: speeding, impaired driving, cannabis loopholes. We're limited in what we can do, but with the cooperation with the OPP and our chief of police, what takes place is the officers are then put out in the region or in our county and basically deal with speeding. But the speeding issue that we have in Renton might not be the same speeding issue that we have in Delhi with Brantford. What's that road? Oh, geez. The Brantford Road that goes from Delhi.
Delhi.
Yeah, that's it, into Scotland. That's right. Thank you. And there seems to be and has been numerous accidents and issues. So the police do patrol that. So just so that everybody's aware, and I mean, Mr. Plott and Mrs. Olson, just last week, the Police Services Board took an educational course with the Solicitor General's office for about 3 hours so that we clearly understand what Section 10 policing is and what our role is, even though it's limited. So I think what's important here, that we're all educated on what our role is and what we're able to do and where we're able to go from here. I think that's important. So education and having some speakers come in so that we're all on the same page. I think that's important. Because I mean, Dan knows Simcoe well and the youth. Jill knows her area very well. Reg, you talked about politics. We try to keep politics out of this and we just try to focus on the issues that need to be dealt with, because I find that's the quickest. But I mean, politics always comes into what takes place. But honestly, I can say, and seeing the stats and looking at the information that is fed to us from the OPP, is that we are policed very well and we are looked after very well. So we are getting a good bang for our buck. So Madam Chair, I just wanted to let everyone know that. And just so aware, we're all taxpayers. We all have a voice. and everyone on this committee knows their community well. What we need to know as a police services board is what is taking place in Delhi that maybe the OPP aren't aware of. Maybe they are, I don't know. So this is, again, it's a vital component for us on the police services board, but I think more importantly for the OPP. I mean, if we've got a good team, things can only get better. And the general public will benefit from this. And in turn, the OPP can do their job more efficiently. Madam Chair, sorry.
No, thank you, George. That's very, very important what you have just said. And we need to know our role and how we can move forward. And we have to do that in a positive light also, for sure. Thank you so much for that. Michelle, did you have your hand raised? No?
Yeah, I just wanted to say when you're wanting to let the community know who you are as a committee, there is a brochure that that is available. It is a brochure that explains the policing committee itself. So it's something that obviously would probably have to be updated or changed, revised. A brochure may or may not be the way to go, but if you're interested in seeing a copy of it, you can probably get a copy from Brenda. And if she doesn't have one, I could dig one up. I think I have some as well.
That would be very helpful. Thank you. That would be great. Thank you. So we would like to hear from the other committee members. I think that this is a collaborative initiative, and just give us a sentence or two of what you think our role is, or what you think what do we want to move towards? What are our next steps for this committee? Reg?
Well, personally, what I would like to see is to, all the members get some certification or accreditation so we can go to the public and say we belong to this community or this committee, because nobody hardly knows of us. And I don't want to be walking into somebody's yard. I like to go house to house and see the businesses in the local areas and say, you know, how are you making out with the police? Have you got any problems? You know, just fact finding with people. And then we can work a little more efficiently to pass it on. That's about it. But I'd like to see, you know, get the credentials, because I'm just not going to walk cold into somebody's property because they can say, well, yeah, you're just a fluke.
Sure. And I think we have to keep in mind what our role is, that we will gather information. And like you say, we need to get the word out of who we are. And so people can come forward and voice their concerns to us, and that we can bring them forward. But rather than us, it's very hard for us not to voice opinions on behalf of the committee. And it's, you know, that's what we have our own opinions and our own perspectives, but what we want to do is we want it to come into us, and then we filter that, not filter, and we pass that along to as a recommendation to the Police Services Board. So very good. I don't know if there's any kind of certification or education we could is available. Aaron, did you know, or George?
Through you, Madam Chair, staff have to go look into that unless Chair Santos can speak to that.
If I may, Madam Chair, I think the educational perspective is truly what our role is, what your role is, what my role is, what Section 10 policing means, and what are the issues that are relevant. Is it the dog barking, or is it speeding? Is it impaired driving, or is it the drug? You know, and having that prioritized. And I think the OPP, I mean, I don't want to reinvent the wheel, but I think the acting staff sergeant Fox can kind of give us a clear understanding. Maybe the OPP can help us out with regards to community policing, because this isn't something that was just invented overnight. This has been going on for numerous years. what has changed basically is the fact that we're talking over a computer, Zoom. We're not talking in person and making connections and having a clear understanding and having a coffee and just understanding where we come from and what our role is and what, you know, Tom and Mary are saying down the road and what the issues are. Ultimately, what I would say, Chair Montgomery, is maybe Acting Staff Sergeant Fox can help us out here.
That would be great. Staff Sergeant, can you add anything to that comment?
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I was just getting the audio set on there. Sorry, I'm a little ill prepared tonight. I actually just sent Erin an email in regards to when Staff Klingbeil, I think she gave some stats before, and I'm going to guess that falls under the presentations portion of the agenda. So I was a little ill prepared for that tonight, but going forward, I'll be better prepared for that. The last time I sat on a community policing committee would have been in Port Franks up near Lake Huron, and that was in 2001, 2002. And times have changed a little bit from that. This link between having the PSB involved and how you guys work through this group going to the PSB is something I wasn't aware of. And it's definitely a lot more formal than it was 20 years ago, that's for sure. I think part of the things you guys brought up, it's nice to see that you've got people from different areas of the community, being Waterford, Port Dover, you know, out in the west of the county as well as Simcoe. So it is that eyes and the ears piece. So when I do bring some stats to the table, and I think they're somewhat minimal, I know our inspector goes over a greater number of stats with the Police Services Board. But I think it's a lot of things. If you guys hear, just like JC, I believe it was saying in regards to social media, he's going to gather a lot from that. Being on that Delhi page, he's going to gather a lot. And maybe if he sees consistent messaging on that page of a certain issue in the area, this is the forum where he can raise that issue and bring it up and say, you know, is the OPP aware of this? Obviously, it's not something I'm going to have answers to that night, but obviously coming back to the next meeting, that's where I'm going to report in on that and say, okay, we've looked into this, or this is the information we found out when it was brought to our attention. Does that help at all?
For sure. Yes, thank you. And we can decide also what kind of information we'd like you to bring forward, and what would be relevant. I mean, what we don't know and need more information on to educate us. That would be great.
Yeah, certainly. And I know Staff Klingbeil in the past, I think one of the last meetings, she might have brought in Paul Clark in regards to speed spy studies to kind of educate everybody of the group on how speed spies work. My understanding is we weren't quite reaching quorum before, and if we've got a bigger membership now, if there's something that she had before and you'd like me to bring a guest forward again to maybe go over some of these things that she's had in the past, feel free to let me know that, and I can try to make those arrangements for sure.
That would be great. Thank you. Appreciate that. Wonderful. So I don't want to pick on anyone, but Dan, do you have anything that you'd like to offer?
I could give my typical answer of no, but I could say I just have a couple of questions, actually. I hear the role as an advisory committee, and so having been around for as many years in town, we used to have a youth liaison with the OPP that would come around and talk about what the youth to gauge what was going on when the youth were on. Do they have one now? I have no clue.
Thanks, Dan. At this point, I don't think the OPP, at least in the 7 years I've been there, they don't have a specific youth liaison officer. I know we used to have a high school liaison officer. Obviously, given the climate of some societies, there was talk about removing those officers from high schools and stuff like that because they thought it was detrimental to the students. I don't know if the OPP has an overall policy in regards to that, but I know we haven't had a youth liaison or a high school officer since about 2015, I'm thinking.
And Dan did have youth that he asked to be on this committee, and he was appointed, but he has no longer been. I think he felt he couldn't contribute, and there wasn't much going on. So maybe that's something we could consider again, or have a voice of the youth in some manner. Dan, was there something else?
You know, and you know, I hear what we're supposed to as the liaison or as the advisory to the police services board. And my question, so I think I agree with Reg to a certain degree. It'd be good to know, like, not just getting credentials, but just a deeper understanding of what the PSB and the police would be looking for like what type of exact information they'd like to have that dialogue, so that we're not just giving recommendations only, but we also can be on both ways on that communication.
That would be great, Dan. I think that would be very beneficial. Thank you. Gord, we haven't heard from you tonight.
I just listened, Gene. You know that.
I know, but we need your input too.
No, I'm actually, just formulating some opinions of what I know is going on in the community and what we're talking about. So I'm just going to wait and see what our role is as far as that goes, and then I'll add to it.
All right. Thank you, Gord. Josh, anything to add?
No, I was kind of thinking along the same lines as Gord. We did have, for a little while there, we had a little bit of a rise in drug and some theft activity in Victoria area alone. But working with a couple of OPP and some community members, it has improved quite a bit, and there's been quite a bit of presence. I feel even the move of the OPP office directly to the fire hall just outside the village has helped quite a bit as well. Other than that, I'm probably going to look into some of the other areas that fall into Ward 4, because Ward 4 does go fairly far north compared to where I thought it did. So I'd like to kind of jump in and get to know some of the groups, maybe towards the Nixon area and stuff like that as well. But other than that, I'm okay with it.
All right. Thank you, Josh. Is there anyone else that has anything to offer or questions? Reg, I don't know if you have your hand up, or is it just not put down since the last question? We can't hear you.
Sorry, no, I'm just sitting here in admiration. No, I got nothing to say now. I think I already did my bit.
All right.
Carry on. Do the fine job.
Thanks, Reg. Is it Marnie who has her hand up?
Hi, through you, Madam Chair. Yes, it is.
Okay.
So I'll just, if you're okay with it, just state my perspective on our committee. And I also see us as primarily advisory and also supportive in nature. So I would suggest initially, as we do our reset, what I'll call it, is that topics come to us through representatives, so that we might take a look at it, take it away, look at it through the lens of who we're representing in our ward, and then come back together to have discussions about it and formulate recommendations based on that. I think as we become more comfortable as a group and have more of that educational piece occur, then we can move into the more supportive role and undertake some of the projects that help to deliver on the mission and the mandate. And then at that point, we may have more ideas. But I would suggest early on that we probably need some of those things to be brought to us so we can offer our input.
Very well said. And for sure, I'm looking forward to all the information that can be brought to us and how we can educate ourselves. We need to be educated to be able to make good recommendations, for sure. So my question is, do we need to form a subcommittee? We need to know our terms of reference. Are we happy with what the terms of reference are now, or do we need to look at them and say, is this where we're going? Is this what we want to be governed by?
So, Madam Chair, through you, perhaps the resolution might be that a terms of reference subcommittee be formed with 1 or 2 or 3 members is that of interest to the committee?
And is there someone who would like to volunteer to be on this committee?
Quick question, Jean, it's Rita.
Yep.
So Aaron, as we look at our terms of reference, would we have staff support in any way to make sure we stayed on track to make sure we stay in our lane, as we say, that we aren't going staying within the role of advisory? And are you aware of other community policing advisory committees across the province? Is there a number of us?
Thank you, Rita, for that question. And through the chair to you, understandably, the clerk's office is absolutely thrilled and happy to support this committee, but also understand that we are limited resources. I think initially I'd be absolutely happy to help arrange a meeting and do that. I can't necessarily say it could be in the evening just because of contractual obligations and overtime and whatnot, but I'd be happy to provide some administrative support to this subcommittee. In terms of your second part of your question, though, I can't really comment on other organizations. I imagine there are other community policing groups, and perhaps Chair Santos again can respond to that a little better.
So if I may, Madam Chair.
Yes.
There are various groups throughout the province of Ontario. I don't think we have to reinvent the wheel. I think Norfolk County, with this group, I'm very impressed. Great questions. There's enthusiasm. From what I read in the Simple Reformer and what I see tonight, it's a difference between night and day. And what I'm basically saying here is, and you shall receive. So, Madam Chair, if I put you on the agenda and you're involved with the Norfolk Police Services Board each and every month or every 2 months, and you're aware of what's happening, and you can kind of give us a brief understanding of what's taking the advisory group, we can definitely make things happen. It won't be 3 months down the road. It hopefully will be within span of time. But getting some connections and what's happening throughout the province in Niagara or Hamilton, or Section 10 policing, of course, with our neighbors to the west, which is Oxford, or to the east in Haldimand. The issues that we're having here in Norfolk, it wouldn't surprise me if Haldimand's having the same issues, if not more, in that regard. So definitely, it's just a matter of asking.
That would be great, George. That's very beneficial for sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and if I can just add, Madam Chair, I remember the OPP gave us a tour of the office. This is going back in 99, 2000. So the members of at that time, it was the Simcoe Policing. We had a tour of, the operations here in Simcoe. We had a bus that took us to Aurelia to have a clear understanding of headquarters. We also took a bus to London to see the workings of the 911. It was second, I believe it was Zone 4, which encompasses Niagara to Oxford to Woodstock to Hamilton to Halton. So we're involved in Zone 4, which is also Norfolk. So these are things, Madam Chair, that just a matter of asking. And I know that Staff Sergeant Fox would definitely make something like this happen and work with the group. It's just a matter of asking. So to everyone here from 1 to 6, by all means, let's keep the momentum going. I like what I hear. And I mean, there are good questions. And you know what? This is what it's all about. And I can tell you from a police services board standpoint, we still have, if you talk to our board secretary, Teresa Olson and Aaron Plott, we too are going through changes and issues and learning. So, and we ask a lot of questions, and I do talk a lot. So I'm going to just stop here. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. You bring up so many good points, and we have to be positive, and we know where we're at, but positive that we're moving forward, and we want to do it in a respectful and a very planned manner. So I think that's very important. Aaron, did you have your hand up?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think there's lots of engaged discussion, which is great to see, but I do believe there seems to be a bit of maybe a motion percolating in this discussion regarding the subcommittee. So before we lose track of that, is there perhaps a member or two who would like to serve on the subcommittee to review the terms of reference? And like I said to Rita, I'd be happy to provide some administrative support as long as it's provided by direction by my team lead and my director. So perhaps we want to ask a member or two to serve on this subgroup.
I have gone through the mandate and the mission and the terms of reference pretty extensively, and I would be quite willing to sit on it with maybe at least 2 other people. The committee.
Madam Chair, I see Teresa Olson, the county clerk.
Through the chair, if I could just suggest what might be a good start is if there are 3 of you on the committee and you meet informally yourselves to start looking at it. And then once you kind of have an idea of where you want, then, you know, we can maybe schedule some time with Aaron to kind of go through the final just to make sure it hasn't missed any of the marks. But I think if you try to stay within the context of what it is, and in the meantime, we will try to dig a little deeper to find out a little more history from the spring of 2020 when this was established. And that I noticed there is some budgeting components in there, so I'd like to explore that a little more so I can provide that to you. But I think if you guys get together informally and Aaron and I do our part, and then if we meet in a few weeks or a couple weeks to kind of reconnect, just as that small group, and then maybe you can bring something back to the next community policing group. We can send it out in advance by email so everyone can take a look at it and be prepared to discuss it. I think that could be a way to move it forward in a more timely manner.
That sounds great. Thank you so much, Teresa. Excellent. Gord, I see your hand up. Are you volunteering for this committee?
That's, I'm just going to say, if you're looking for a third, I'll be it.
Okay. So, Gord, who was our second? Was there someone else? I don't want to force anybody, but Rita, you've been through this for a number of years. You have expertise.
So I don't want to look like I'm outspoken and overpowering, but I certainly would like to support that effort, Jean.
Okay, that would be wonderful. Is there anyone else who would like to contribute?
So, Madam Chair, if I may, I think it's perhaps best to stick with 3 members just because that would be under quorum, and that would just be within the procedures of the Municipal Act. So perhaps the motion will be that the terms of reference subcommittee be formed with the following members: Jean Montgomery, Gord Rollo, and Rita Culver.
Would we have...
Sorry, please go ahead, Madam Chair.
I was just going to ask if someone would like to move that. Dan will move that. And a second?
I'll second it. It's Marnie.
Justin. Sorry, Justin got in there again quickly.
No problem.
Are we all in favor? Yes. All right. That motion is carried. Thank you. Okay. I really appreciate the discussion, and I really think that we're going to have a good basis to move forward for sure. All right. We'll move on to any correspondence, Aaron?
Madam Chair, there's no correspondence.
All righty. Anything else that needs to be brought up tonight? Before we kind of determined, and I'd like to ask everyone now, I know I emailed everyone previously, but does this time and day work well for everyone? We're looking at the 4th Tuesday of the month. Okay. And is 6 o'clock appropriate?
Madam Chair, I see.
I didn't hear your date.
Pardon me? Reg?
Sorry, I didn't hear what date.
It would always be the.
What was the
well,
date?
we're looking at the 4th Tuesday, so
Madam Chair, that'd be April 26th.
Oh, yeah, I have no problem. No, okay, no, I didn't quite catch it. No, I'm good.
Does that work for everyone? And 6 o'clock? Okay, let's set that date.
Sorry, Madam Chair, I think Rita, did you have a comment, or is that work for you?
Yes, I have another comment, Aaron, and and help me if I'm out of line. But Teresa made it clear that this discussion isn't recorded, so that we need to make recommendations. So I've kind of crafted a recommendation for the committee to consider. And Aaron, help me out if I don't have it worded properly. So we'd like to recommend to the Police Service Board to work with the Community Policing Committee to improve the exchange and sharing of information between the Ontario Provincial Police and the Police Service Board. Because I believe that was the discussion around the table. Please, committee members, I'd love to hear from you if that is the will of the committee.
So you'd like to move that? Sorry, Teresa?
Through the chair, Rita, if you wouldn't mind just sending that to Aaron by email, just so we can make sure he captures it correctly. I'm sure he's taken some notes, but just to make sure we get it exactly as is. And just to clarify, we do video record these meetings, so you're all aware. We just don't record in writing all of the discussion points.
So if Rita would like to make that recommendation, was there someone who would like to second that recommendation?
I'll second it.
Okay, that's Reg. And are we all in favor?
Yep.
Okay, that would be passed and we'll move forward with that. Thank you, Rita.
You're welcome. I'll send that tomorrow morning, Aaron.
Thank you, Rita.
If I remember.
I'll send a follow up.
I'll follow up, Aaron. You don't,
Okay.
I won't make more work for you, Aaron. I'll try not to.
If there's no other business and everyone has my email, if there's any concerns, suggestions, whatever, please don't hesitate to contact me or Aaron. Or we want to make this work and we want to do it in an efficient manner for sure. Any parting messages from anyone? George, I'm really glad that we've made this connection and we appreciate you being here. And I think that's the first step in moving forward, really, truly.
Here, I agree with Dean.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm grateful to know that there is not only a spark, but there's a flame. It's vital. And just so that you're all aware, the Police Services Board, we have gone through a lot of change in the last 2 to 3 years. So I sense the frustration. I understand what's happening, but I think we're all going through this. Even with the staff, for example, Mr. Plott and Mrs. Olson, they haven't been with Norfolk County for more than a year, but they're adjusting and guiding us and doing very well. And so again, it all comes down to teamwork. And with the OPP, there are changes happening and we have representation. We're all around the table. I truly believe that what this resolution that Rita has put forth is a big difference. And having the chair, Mrs. Montgomery, on the agenda will definitely spruce up the Police Services Board, but also give a clear understanding that, look, we have a representative from the community policing here. So if we have any questions, they can ask. And if the vice chair or the chair have any questions, we can all work together. And this is truly what it's all about. And there will be continual change as we go on. I might not be here after October, and there might be other individuals that come. But if there's consistency and continuity, and there are people like yourself, Madam Chair, with and all members that are here for the right reason, I can't see why this can't continue for many years, for sure. But thank you very much for having me. I apologize for not being prepared and having more notes. I thought I was just going to listen in and take some notes, but I've been doing a lot of talking. So thanks for listening and have a good night, everyone. And I'm going to sleep better knowing that the community policing in Norfolk County is definitely going to help us out so we can better our community for sure. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Certainly appreciate you being here. And it was a great discussion from everyone tonight. I think we've got a good start and a good foundation to move forward. Thank you. Aaron?
So, Madam Chair, we just can have a motion to adjourn at 7:35 if there's no further discussion.
That's Dan. We don't really need a seconder, do we? Or
we do, Madam Chair.
Okay, and that was Justin. He got in there. All righty, all in favor? Yes, we are.
I'll second it.
So we want to make sure that our next meeting date is in the minutes also. Yeah. So, all right. So again, connect at any point, any suggestions or comments and what we can do so that we have some good information to go forward in our next meeting. Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone being here, and hopefully our next meeting will be in person, which is great. Yeah. Yes. All right. Thanks to everyone and have a good evening. Take care. Good night. Good night. Good night. Thank you.